Brr.
Are you okay?
I'm
It's
cold. I'm so cold.
It's April. Why are you so cold?
I'm cold for our cold open.
Ah,
Do you get it?
I get it.
Brr. Ooh, let me cover up. Let me gird my loins.
That's
Would you like to check my loins for girding?
no, thank you. It does not sound
Okay.
pleasant.
Okay. What about my jib? Would you like to check the cut of it?
Um,
I guess I can stop being cold. We could just
yeah.
do a normal. Why can't we just do a normal one? You know, like a normal.
That is just a question.
I
of
ask
my
you all the
life.
time. Can we just do a normal one?
Normal does not exist in this household.
I have something to share with you.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a secret,
Okay.
but I feel like this is a good place to reveal this
I'm
secret.
excited. I love when you tell me things for the first time on the show.
And I know we don't have a book,
Right.
but I've been working
Yes.
on my author signature.
Oh, okay.
Our good friend Jess Cozy
Yeah.
reminded us, author and publicist extraordinaire,
Yeah.
reminded us that one rule is your author signature should not be the same as your signature.
Your legal signature. Yeah. I really had never thought about that
I
until
didn't
she
either.
said it. And I was like, good point.
So I've been working on it.
I like how you're manifesting this future where you're going to be signing
I'm going to be
books
signing
and you're going
books.
to need an author signature.
Yeah.
So you've been working on it?
I've been working
Come up
on
with
it.
something
Can I show
good?
you?
Yeah, in
Okay.
an audio medium.
Yeah,
Sure.
don't worry about that part.
Yeah, but for the viewers on YouTube, you're going to get a real treat.
Okay. Now it looks, give me a second. So here's what I have so far.
Uh-huh. It says Matt.
But it looks like Mach.
It does look like Ma.
It looks like Mach, but it's such an easy, like, make an M and then a little triangle for A, 2 lines, and then cross across both.
I like it.
For a
Ma.
Mach.
Like mahjong.
Mahjong.
So he is announcing also that he's learning to play mahjong.
That's right.
He's really into it.
The dragon tiles.
He's gonna be all about it. There's a lot of local clubs you could get into. They'll be so excited to have your signature. It looks great.
We just got Abby's book and she signed it.
She did, yeah. We got
and
the
she
new
has a
book.
nice Abby.
Yeah, the night we met, the new Abby book is out. We're reading it. We're done with it now, I guess. But I will say it looks a little aggressive for a romance novel. It's very sharp and pointy.
See, but my normal signature is more flowy.
That's true.
But it's my signature.
That's true. The people could buy a house or a car.
Good luck.
With your signature.
Good luck.
I like the manifesting.
See, that's my normal Matt.
Yeah, you don't want to show that. Don't put that out there. No, don't do it.
Okay.
People steal your identity.
Yes, I'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
I also thought
it's good. I like the thought.
You know how like some celebrities are like Oprah or Beyonce or Kanye.
You're claiming Matt.
Yeah.
This is like if all the celebrity Chris's, one of them was like, I'm just Chris.
Yeah.
Like Pine and Pratt. And, yeah.
But you would never see Matt without Andrea. Here's what I'm saying. I think you own it because it can be Matt and Andrea, Matt and Andrea, Matt.
We are Matt and Andrea. Okay. I get it.
We also got Abby's book. And I told you, I think the way you know you made it as an author is when your name is bigger and more prominent than the actual title of the book.
On the cover, yes. Her name is larger than the title.
And it's like bright white.
And you suggested that we just start there.
We start there. How awesome.
Start with our name being large.
It's like Matt and Andrea, and it's like the day we met or whatever. Gonefishing.com.
Gone fishing. That's our
book.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Okay.
So now you got to practice yours.
All right.
You have such much better handwriting than I do, though.
I gotta work on that. That's
okay. Fine.
Welcome to our next chapter.
Welcome
podcast.
Back.
I'm Andrea.
And I am Matt.
Matt.
The Matt. Like Oprah.
Well, not the Matt. Matt and Andrea.
Matt and Andrea. Matt and
Yes.
Andrea. I'm Matt and Andrea.
We are high school sweethearts, and we have 2 almost grown boys who...
How long have we been together again?
Well, we're going to talk about that in this episode because our anniversary just passed. I didn't even say when it was.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
And plus, we left that in 2025.
Oh, yeah. Give me the thing so I can give a different reaction.
Our almost grown boys, yeah. We've been together since the year 2000. The 99 and the 2000. Yeah, you are. And then we got married in 2005. So our marriage is like legal now in the sense of it's 21. It can drink. It can have a drink. And 26 years. We're past that quarter of a century mark on the together. But you still love me, and because you do, we got really into reading romance novels together as a way to spend time together. Then you suggested that we write one and do a podcast to document the process, and that's where we are. And so over time, that has evolved into talking about books we love and authors we love, and now interviewing authors we love. We have a very special author
a great one today
for you today. Oh man, Dr. Irena Smith. She has a new book out called Troika, which is an amazing like road trip memoir with her and her daughter and her mother.
Wonderful.
So incredible.
She's brilliant.
And a background in like college admissions, former college admissions counselor, and did private college counseling and things. Now she's a full-time author, so we're really excited to introduce you to her. Yeah. You guys had a ton in common too. Yeah. Felt like you shared a brain a little bit, and so we're excited to tell you.
And you guys shared the college stuff. We
do. We have.
She doesn't necessarily do it as much anymore,
right?
But she definitely has a very decade-long history of doing it.
I am still in that life and working in that space, but then also having a senior in high school, going through navigating that process, which is a process.
Figured it out?
We are excited to announce. Well, he's figured it out. He has made a decision, and we're so excited. We really thought we were going to be sending him off to the East Coast.
East Coast stuff.
But surprise to us all, he ended up falling in love with a school here locally that fell right back in love with him and rolled out the red carpet and selected him as a President's Scholar. And so, really excited for him. A full ride with study abroad opportunities, and they just keep sending more and more emails about all the cool stuff he gets to do. So Matt and I are ready to go back to school with him and experience it through that lens, because I did not have the red carpet rolled out for me for sure. But we're just so thrilled for him to see all his hard work pay off, and then just to keep him close by is kind of fun too. When we've thought that he was going to be going far away for so long, so he's going to be studying engineering.
I say sad. It's exciting, but it's sad and exciting.
It's weird to think about him not living here. That's the thing that just keeps it like.
You said the weirdest thing this week.
Well, I had gone to wake him up the other day in the morning. He had to be somewhere, and I was waking him up, and I just had that thought of like, he's not going to live with us anymore. And I thought, he has lived with us since he came out of my body. Like, he has lived with us the whole time. And so the idea, like, he's gone away. I think the longest he was gone was, almost 3 weeks? Yeah. He went on a trip to Europe with his school between 10th and 11th grade. But otherwise, he's been here. Even then, he lived here. He was just traveling. But the idea that he's not going to live here is very weird. And so just trying to get used to that. But
do you think he'll bring his laundry back? I mean, my mom has already offered to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love grandma's offering to do the laundry, but I think he's really going to try to do it on his own. I think once the novelty of it wears off, he's going to love
the novelty of doing laundry.
Yes, I mean, it's like a new experience that he's like, look at me, I'm doing it.
That's true.
Yeah, I think after some time, he'll be like, I'll just take it home. But yeah, we couldn't be more thrilled for him, and just that all that hard work is paying off.
And approximately 4 months until day of go. Till move-in day.
Yeah, it's coming quickly. And in the meantime, the little one was off competing at a state competition with a school organization he's part of. One gold at state.
He's going to Nashville.
Yeah, I guess to go to Atlanta this summer. So just really excited just to see them kind of coming into their own.
What are we going to do with the old one's room? I mean, we could turn it into like a Stella cave.
Yeah, I think she'll claim it as her own.
And she could just have her own room.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We even teased about letting the little brother take over the big brother's room, because it is a little bigger and the space is a little, I don't know, more covered. The shape of it's better. Yeah. And the oldest was like, "What? My room?" We're like, "Okay, just kidding. We're not going to do that.
We're going to turn it into a podcast studio."
Yes. So if our set changes, you'll know we stole his room.
We stole the room.
Yeah, all exciting things, because as Irena, our author today, she knows that process and what a process it is. And so just seeing all the hard work he's put in, not only just in school, but over these last few months of all the applications and essays and interviews and college visits, it's really cool to have that decision made and just see him starting to get excited about what's next. So we're excited to share that with you, our listeners.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you for coming along on this adventure with us.
So let's go chat to Irena Smith, and then we'll come back and maybe we'll talk about our anniversary a little bit.
Oh, I hope you remember the date.
Oh, geez. Today, we are so excited to welcome Irena Smith to our next chapter. Irena has lived a life full of chapters. coming from the United States from the former Soviet Union as a child, building a career shaped by literature, storytelling, and education. Along the way, she even earned a PhD in comparative literature and then taught at both UCLA and Stanford, then worked as a college admissions advisor at Stanford. Now, a full-time writer, she brings all of that lived experience and emotional insight to her newest book, Troika. Troika is a memoir about 3 generations, 3 days, and 1 road trip. But it's also about family history, inheritance, identity, motherhood, memory, and the stories we carry with us, whether we mean to or not. It's thoughtful, it's moving, and full of detours that'll have you reflecting on your own journey through life. Irena, we're so happy to have you here to talk about your fascinating journey, this beautiful book, and your writing process. So welcome to our next chapter. Welcome.
For having me.
We're so glad to have you here, and I did want to jump in with this question first because it is also something near and dear to my heart. You've got to tell me about improv and how you got to that and how you're still involved in that community.
I am so glad that you led with that because improv actually very much influenced the way that I wrote Troika.
Yes.
I'll go back and tell you the improv story, which is that somewhere around 2015, 2016, like 10, 11 years ago, my husband, as an anniversary present, signed us up for a 3-hour intro to improv class in San Francisco in this
so fun
theater called Bay Area Theater Sports. And we loved the class. We imprinted on our teacher. It turned out that they also taught satellite classes like 10 minutes from our house. And
nice.
Let's do this. So we started doing improv, just, like basic improv classes, and eventually worked our way up to amateur performances for some of our closest friends who were willing to, see us do improv. So
if you can't torture your friends, who can you torture? You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt about my improv.
Exactly. Friends and family, because who else is going to come? It's not like we were in Second City. But what I found remarkable about it, I don't think I'm ever going to be very good at it. But what's remarkable to me is how much it taught me about storytelling, because you're on a stage with a random suggestion, no script, no scenery, just your scene partner, and you're supposed to create a world out of that. So it's basically storytelling under extreme circumstances. And the beats of storytelling that I learned from improv, and especially how to create a long form performance, really serendipitously influenced the writing of the book.
I could not agree more. I think, one of the tenets of doing improv is finding the game, right, within each scene. And it's like, to me, I've been thinking about that a lot with our chapters. Like, what each chapter needs to have something to it. It can't just be, a connection between the two, because that's not interesting, Right. So what's the game in the chapter? What's the thing we need to pull forward? And I couldn't agree more. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
It's so fun. As a person who's done improv for a very long time, it is so fun to just let your brain kind of go and let it explore. And
it's such a vulnerability to put yourself out there in that way and to build that trust with the other people on stage with you. What was that like for you and your husband? Did that also build that trust and connection too?
We actually tried not to be in scenes together for a long time, not because we don't like each other, but we would almost always default to like what is our actual marriage dynamic, which is like The Princess Bride, where it was like, get away from me, witch. I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. Like the Yiddish vaudeville stick. And it was like, we got to move past that. And so I think we grew as performers, and now we can do scenes where we're not an old bickering couple, like with Bronx accents. But I think just with anybody, both with my husband and me and with the other people in our merry band of performers, you really have to trust the person. You have to trust the audience. Like, I've learned that the audience will backfill a lot of stuff. And I think the same true of your reader. They're already figuring out like what's going on with these people. And I love what you said about finding the game, because the question is really like, what is going to move this story forward? And it's either something is going to escalate. We have this play. I don't know if you guys have done this. It's called Angry Town. Have you played that?
No, I haven't.
It's super fun where you just start a scene and one of you is like, oh, hey, it looks like your flowers are growing in your garden, like something totally innocuous. And the other person's like, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I'm incapable of growing? Are you trying to
Instant conflict.
thing I look at dies, and then you just escalate.
Yes, I love that.
I love a good status game.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like after it just gets completely volcanic, the first person is like, no, I was just trying to say that the iris is nice. And then the first person is like, oh, okay, well, thanks. I like wearing. And then the initial person is like, are you trying to say I don't know how to get dressed? What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that I dress like a whole person? So anyway, it's just
that's amazing.
Escalation is really fun. So, like, one of the things I love about the kind of improv we've done is we mostly do scenes and games, and they're just, kind of short and freestanding. Sure. But we've played around with long form. And one of the things that amazes me about long form, especially when I was a new improviser and I would watch shows where I was like, oh, look, they just made an entire Shakespeare play out of a single suggestion. And the thing is you don't have to have the whole play in mind. You have to like throw out a couple of scenes and then be watching for what was in those scenes that you could build on. So you're kind of like reading the story. And once, like when I was writing the book, once it occurred to me that I could do that in writing, I was like, well, if I'm going to mention my grandmother, like it's the audience would want to see a scene with the grandmother, right? So like you take that thread, bring it forward, and it makes it much less terrifying because all of a sudden you're like, I'm not performing a long form, I'm performing a scene. I'm not writing a book, I'm writing a chapter. So
I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, that connective tissue, and it builds itself when you're really looking for it. And I think improv does give you an eye for that and how to make those connections, especially in something long form. Once you get into heralds and whatnot, it becomes, it's a completely different game. It is a completely different mindset. So like you, we always played a lot of short form games that were like quick hits and fun and stuff. Yeah. But,
well, and really just leaning into too, I like what you're talking about as you blend that over into your writing is thinking of what your reader is going to want. Right. And how even in Troika, you're using this metaphorical and like physical idea of threads, like with your grandmother and the train and the diapers being hung. I know we're going to talk more about the book in a bit, but this idea of these threads and then pulling those people into 100%. Your story, knowing that your reader is going to want to see that after getting that little bit of a peek.
You got to build the foundation a little bit, tease them a little bit, move on.
Yeah.
And I know you were writing long before you were doing improv. How did you get the writing bug to start with back in the day?
I think I always had the writing bug. I used to write, I don't even know what it was, but just like I wrote in diaries, like a very angsty teenage girl. I wrote fiction stories that were set in medieval times and involved a lot of kissing and, throwing garments. And I quickly gave that up. I was just like, this is dumb. But I ended up doing a lot of academic writing, both in college and graduate school. I was an English major, and then I wrote a dissertation, which I was rereading when I was writing Troika, just because there's some reference to dissertation, which I'm very excited about because now more than 7 people might actually know about it, whether they want to or
you worked hard enough on it. They should, absolutely.
It's academic writing is very different, and you're really supposed to have like an I in there or personality in there. It's supposed to be this like objective, dispassionate, scholarly voice. I think that the writing bug really hit me when I started working with students on their college essays. And it took me a long time to realize that a college essay is basically a 650-word memoir. And then, the supplementary essays are essentially chapters or like little supplementary vignettes. And there came a time 3 or 4 where I was like, well, I have stories. Like I'm helping all these kids write these essays and they don't even want to do writing these essays. It's like pulling teeth a lot of the time. And I started just jotting down, kind of creative nonfiction short stories about how my family and I came to the US, a little bit about raising our kids. And so it was kind of a slow evolution, I think, of me as a writer alongside the job that I was doing, which was mostly working with other people on their writing. But one of the things I realized is teaching other people how to write makes you really aware of this makes for good writing, makes for bad.
Oh, yeah.
You have to explain what's working and what's not, and how to make it better if it's not. So I think that really helped.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, in thinking of being a college admissions officer and, like you said, helping students with their writing, so much of what I talk with my students about is, in a way, you're branding yourself, which, falls right into his lane in advertising. And so we saw that with our own son, of thinking about what characteristics of yourself do you want to highlight and what stories do you want to use to highlight those characteristics. And so when we were reading Troika and thinking about The Golden Ticket, your first book through the college admission, essays and things, is I just love the way that you use that background in college admissions advising for yourself and telling your own story. And so I was just curious, how that kind of came about. Like, what characteristics about yourself were you, most wanting to highlight, and how you chose to do that through these incredible stories of your journey to the U.S. and getting your education and parenthood. Yeah.
So I think, first of all, you're absolutely right about, what stories do you want to tell about yourself is really the key question in admissions, but I think also, honestly, more broadly in life. We are, as human beings, very story-driven people, and telling stories is probably one of the earliest things that human beings did when they sat around the fire gnawing, mammoth butt.
Yeah, of course.
And that idea of connecting with other people through story is really gratifying and also really challenging. And a lot of times when I work with students, and this is completely understandable, but also I think kind of ineffective, is if you are telling rather than showing. If a student is like, I'm very responsible and also a leader, it's like, okay, well, we have about 3,000 of those over.
Right.
Whereas it's really the stories that stick with you. I remember when I was at Stanford, there was a guy who wrote about being a overnight camp counselor, and one of the 8-year-old boys in his bunk turned out to be a bedwetter and was, mortified, and it was terrible. And obviously, trauma was going to happen as soon as his inmates are going to find out. So this, the applicant wrote about setting his alarm for 4:30 in the morning so he could wake up this kid and take him to the bathroom, because it was an early morning situation. And just do that. And that story speaks volumes to me, because he didn't say compassionate. He didn't say I'm thoughtful. He said, this is what I did. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning for 8 weeks. Took this.
Oh, I like that.
We would have these random conversations on the way to the bathroom. And it was just like, okay, I love you. Yes.
You know exactly who that person is.
Yeah. You know who they are.
Say any adjectives. You didn't brag. You didn't say, I was president of this club. It was like, this is a story about kindness and care and compassion and leadership to some extent. And so I don't think I set out to, I didn't set out with a list of qualities that I wanted to say in the memoir or in the Golden Ticket or in Troika. But I did have some very specific stories I wanted to tell. And then from that, I was like, oh, well, I'm a little bit neurotic and I like to talk about myself. And, but I think that comes across more in the stories and not much like I really want the reader to take this away.
Yeah. Like you said, show, don't tell. And I will say, when we were reading, something that he hasn't said before is, so many times when we're speaking with authors, we're wanting to get to know you and things like that. He said, this is one of the first times I feel like I already know her. He's like, I just am so excited. I'm just ready to talk to her, because I feel like I already have such a clear idea through her writing I just already feel like we know each other, you know? And I just thought like, that just felt like such a compliment
so,
to me, to your writing. And like you said, you're just showing
just
who you
reading
are.
through it. I just, you know, the insightfulness, the tapestry of like who you are and where you come from and what that means to you came through so clearly that I was like, I don't have any questions. I mean, I get it. Yeah, she's great. I love it.
He was
The
just
writing's
so ready.
fantastic.
I know,
She's great.
Was so ready to
I'm on
talk
board.
because he was like, I feel like I already know her on such a deep level just because of your writing, because you do just show who you are through your writing. Yeah.
I guess, let's talk about the book a little bit.
To talk a little bit about Troika, will you share a little bit about the story in the book?
Yes, it's the story about a 3-day road trip that I took with my mother and daughter to California's Central Coast in a terrible rainstorm, during which we bicker, reconcile, encounter aggressive ostriches, binge watch the second season of White Lotus, and excavate family history and imaginary and real landscapes.
Beautiful.
Yes, and we've been reading it. It's
phenomenal.
So phenomenal.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
I was interested to see, like, as you talk about the stories that you wanted to tell, why did the road trip kind of feel like a beginning of a book? Like, why was that the structure? Like, how did you come to that decision?
That is a great question, because I did not set out to write this particular book at all. My mom and my daughter and I, mostly my mom and I, because my daughter is not a planner, as you've probably gathered from the book, plan this trip. My daughter is up for anything as long as plan it. And she was like, yes, let's do it. And then, of course, on the day that we were supposed to set out, we were 2 days into a historic atmospheric event during which we in the Bay Area words like bomb cyclone and atmospheric river, and there were travel advisories. It was not a good time.
Not ideal.
So my thought was not like, oh, I'm going to write a book about this. My thought was, I really feel like we need to go for some weird reason that I still can't explain. But my expectations were, you know, what would be really good is if we didn't die. Like that would be a really good baseline. Like didn't end
usually
up
a pretty good outcome.
Right by the side of the road. And my mom and my daughter and I, mostly my mom and I, kind of triangulating to my daughter, started bickering almost right away because my daughter is late and disorganized, and I also am, but I kind of contain that better, where she's everything everywhere all at once. And I was like, great. So A, we might die. B, my mom is like hissing at me about why is she like this? After really not very long, I think we all trauma bonded about being, you know, close to death for like 5 hours while we were driving. But also we started telling stories in the car. I think partly precipitated because we decided to tack on Solvang, which is this little pro-Danish village and on the Central Coast, because both my grandmothers had gone there on a senior citizen Russian language bus tour, and they thought it was so quaint and cute and adorable, and they kept talking about these spherical little pancakes, which are a Danish pancake called abelskiver. Now I know, and. We were like, well, let's add Solvang. It's only 100 miles to the south of where we were going. 100 miles in terrible weather being a very...
I was going to say, that's a long 100 miles.
I was going to say, I think in the first hour you went 8 miles, right?
And so what ended up happening is ostensibly a very short road trip with very low expectations ended up kind of serendipitously accumulating all this mass, like the stories that we were talking about, the grandmothers, the fact that I had just finished binge watching White Lotus and I was obsessed with it. And so we started talking about that. And then because there was nothing to do in Solvang in the middle of a big storm right after New Year's, where everything was like dark and shut down, we started watching it, and my mother and daughter and I had already seen it, but they were like locked in from the opening of the
easy to do. Yeah, easy to do.
Song is so mesmerizing.
It is.
And so I came home, and I think I felt the itch of a book in the weeks after, when my mom and I kept talking about the trip, and oh my God, I can't believe we saw this, and ostriches and the show and the lights and all these things. And so it felt like it was a very small container for a much bigger story.
Yes.
Yep.
That's when I decided I wanted to try to write about it.
I love it.
And
So
we
good.
were so interested as we were reading the way that you are able to weave back and forth from the lightheartedness of traffic or this weather situation or your dad in the CB radio to these very heavy family stories of survival and trauma. But it was in a way that we didn't feel like we were taking on that weight in reading it with you, but you still felt the weight of it. And so I was just interested in how you navigated that as a writer to find that balance with the lightheartedness, the humor, my daughter's late, to then talking about some of the things that your parents and grandparents had endured.
So I think it's maybe, I was going to say it's two things, but maybe it's three things. One is, again, the improv aspect, where it was like, if we're going to drop these hints, let's go back to that. And also it's related to the question of that I had when I started writing, which was, why are we like this? Like, why is Mike so insistent on giving me a CB radio? Which I didn't know how to use it in high school, don't know how to use it. One of my high school friends is like, that is such a dad thing. Like, here, take this 1970s ham radio.
Yeah.
I don't
in case you need truckers to help you, I guess.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Really? But it is a dad thing, because he's like, I'm trying to keep you safe. Like,
Yep, absolutely.
You're going to go on this like insane trip in the middle of the storm. Let me at least give you this thing.
Yeah. This is one little locus of control. I can at least try to communicate my love for you this way.
Right. I will communicate my love by giving you this piece of technology that you don't know how to use. I would like to think that you might figure it out.
Yeah.
It would never happen. So there was part of that, is trying to figure out, why am I like this? Why are we like this? And that brought up the stories about the grandmothers. Is, I think that when you've been through a life that is an accumulation of losses, really, of course you worry about people. Of course you leave messages on their answering machine. Where could you be in such weather when the fine, because that's code for, you might disappear and I'll never see you again, and I need to know where you are. And then the weaving between, I think, the dark and the light. My developmental editor, who I want to talk about, because she deserves a lot of credit for helping inspire some of the structure and just the parts that you're reacting to. I have to credit for. She and I go way back. She was actually an associate editor when I was doing college admissions counseling. So she worked with on essays. And she calls it Russian sort of bittersweet, more bitter than sweet, and like jet black humor, where it's like, oh, this is funny in a very dark way. And so I think some of it is my personality. Some of it is improv, like, let's go back and explain the roots of this. And I think I said three things and I already forgot what the third thing. Oh, I know what the third thing is. This is so on brand. The third thing is I have ADHD. Like, oh, I buried the lead. And
welcome.
I was going to say, also a frequent topic on our podcast. Yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So I think that people with ADHD, this is exactly what the get-go. I think that people with ADHD could obviously be scattered and disorganized and late, blah, blah, blah. But I think the associational thinking is such a gift, because you're able to see these little threads that connect things that other people won't necessarily see. And if you're able to explain why it makes sense to you, went here and then there and then back to this third thing, then it's this revelation to the reader that, if done right, I think can really...
It works. Yeah. And we talk about it a lot, because I always say my superpower is pattern recognition. And I think that definitely plays. And it's so funny because I was reading your website and her favorite punctuation is the parentheses, which is just that extra thought. You always have to have the extra thought to go with the thought. And that's my ADHD style, 100%.
I think, too, that maybe to me makes more sense, too, of why you felt so connected as if you knew her, because you were just seeing
I can feel it. I can see it.
Those associative things, like
100%.
you said, the associative thinking is like you were really like capturing every piece of what she was giving us as readers. Yeah.
And also, as I was reading the book, I as you're reading anything, you're thinking about your own life, and I feel like we're kind of at an age where we're both parents, but we're also like kind of raising our parents, and it really made me think about like, okay, well, you're on this trip, and so I really wanted to know, like, what did you kind of learn about your mother or about being a mother from this book?
So I love this question because we are all, I think I'm older than you guys, but the demographic of having kids who are almost adult and parents who are not getting any younger. And I'm very fortunate in that my mom and dad are still very active. We actually went back to Italy, all three of us last year. My mom turned 80, and instead of party, she wanted a big trip, and so the three of us, the original Troika, and actually saw the apartment where we used to live when we first got there, and shared with like three other families. So that was very cool. But obviously, they're not getting any younger, and I think you reach that kind of in the middle age where you start thinking about how was I parented, how am I parenting, how much does how I was parented inflect how I'm parenting my kids?
100%.
One of the things that, I mean, I think I knew this already, but I wasn't able to articulate it until I started writing the book, is Soviet parents parent a different way typically than American parents, in that Soviet Union was an authoritarian country, and Soviet parents tend to be not always, but often similarly authoritarian, where the idea is they tell the kid what to do and you do it. And if you don't do it, you're certainly not going to be like, no, I won't do it. You sneak around and do what it is that you do. But on the surface, you are compliant and obedient, which is how I spent most of my high school years, is sneaking around and doing things that my parents didn't approve of. What was interesting to me is when I became a mom, and this same thing happened with my mom and my grandma Celia, my dad's mom, her mother-in-law, is she would corner my mom and be like, why is she dressed like this? Why, how can you allow this thing disgraceful? And then my mom would take it out on me, even though And so I think there was a little bit of that dynamic at the beginning of our trip where we're sitting in the car waiting for my daughter, and my mom is like, why is she like this? How can you allow it? I'm like, what am I going to do? Like,
what am I going to do? Yeah.
Her out by her hair. And so we finally, when we got to Solvang, this sort of came to a head because my mom and I were ready to go to downtown Solvang. My daughter was not ready and, in fact, could not find her pants, which she had taken off, and was sure she knew where she put them, but she didn't. And she also couldn't find the other pants that she brought. So we were not going anywhere, and my mom started in on me in Russian. And even though my daughter doesn't understand Russian, she understands intonation. I mean, you also know that people with ADHD get like 300% more criticism. And so we were getting into that. And fortunately, my mom had gotten another room at the hotel, because initially I was like, we should all stay in one room. And she was like, absolutely not. Really bad. And anyway, so I muscled my mom into her room, and I was like, look, this is going to be a really crappy trip if you keep doing this. This is how she is. You're not going to change her. We could try to have a good time, or you could just do this the whole time and we'll fight. And so she was really like, we, kind of worked it out. And then my favorite postscript to this, and it's not in the book because the ending went in a slightly different direction, is that the rest of the trip mostly was free of that dynamic. But then we returned home, and a couple of days later, we were talking about the trip, me and my mom on the phone. And she said to me very proudly, your father asked me, and this doesn't translate well into Russian or from Russian, but basically he was like, well, did you instruct my daughter in how to live a proper and good life? And my mom said very proudly, I said to him, nope, we just had a really good time. And I was like,
oh, that's nice.
That is such a win, right?
That was a huge win.
Yeah. So I think just that my real admiration for my mom, who had at that point 77 years of conditioning, who was able to let go of that. And I think I was able to understand where that was coming from in her, and defend my daughter or run interference for my daughter.
I love that.
That was really a cool challenge.
Yeah.
That's growth.
That's such a win. And I think, like you said, we are that sandwich generation right now who we're trying to evaluate our own lives and break those cycles in our own parenting for our children. But then also, like, we grew up in that environment, so we know where it's coming from. We know, we have that first instinct to criticize or whatever that thing is. Oh, I'll give you a reason to cry. Those kinds of things that we grew up hearing, but we never really thought about, like, why? Why do we do that? Do we agree with that?
What does that mean?
And so we have been very fortunate with our own parents and getting that support, like you said. But with the ADHD kiddos, the critique, the criticism is rampant, and they get so much of it. And so you do feel that need to try to protect your own kid while also guiding them as best you can and wanting them to be successful. But I do think that's such an incredible win to get her to that place, because I think part of it is we feel like, our family members, our children or grandchildren, they're reflections of us. And it's so hard to break that of, like, who cares what anyone else thinks? Who cares what anybody else in the world? Like, we just want to have a good time. We want to just enjoy each other's company.
We want to raise good people.
Yeah, who enjoy their lives.
Enjoy their lives.
Yeah,
That's all you can
like
do.
you said, to be able to spend time with your own mother and see that relationship with your mother and your daughter of, like, let's just have a good time. You're not responsible for her. You could just have a great time with her. Like, that is such a win, and I'm glad we got to get that moment, since it's not in the book. Like, it's a good.
I did want to ask, what was the reaction from the book then, from your mom and your daughter? Like, how did they feel about it?
So, funny story. I mentioned going to Italy before. My manuscript was due at the end of April. We went to Italy in the middle of April.
My gosh.
Both my mom and dad, I had already mostly finished it because I didn't want to be in Italy. But both my mom and dad knew what it was about. And even though my dad's, he's in it, he wasn't on the trip, they were both like, were we unfairly maligned? Did you? And my mom was feeling very, I think, like, protective and uncertain. And she was like, and why aren't you letting us read it? And I was like, fine, I will email you the PDF that, I'm sending of the month. So I emailed it to her. This was shortly before the trip. And we get to we had an Airbnb in Italy in this small, like, Tuscan town, which I know sounds insufferable, but it was a big birthday.
Sounds amazing.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it was very cool. So we had this, like, little kitchen, and we were drinking tea around the table on the first night. And my mom goes, you know what would be fun? Let's read Irena's memoir out loud.
Oh my gosh.
Fun.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Fun, you say? So she was like, it'll be great. And so she just started reading, and I'm sitting there chewing my nails and also the first joint of each of my fingers. She loved it from the beginning. They did actually find a couple of factual inaccuracies where not, this didn't happen on the trip, but actually family history stuff, which I was grateful for, because I just incorporate those changes. Right. And she read it about halfway through before we ran out of time, because it was the end of the trip and we were busy trying to squeeze in everything. And then we returned to the U.S. and about 4 days later, she texts me and says, I finished your memoir, going on a walk to digest.
Wow.
Well, that's ominous. Yeah, that's very ominous.
So I texted her and I was like, great, I hope you liked it.
Great.
Yeah.
There was nothing for like 12 hours. So I'm
Oh my
envisioning,
gosh.
It was a long walk.
Yeah. This feels very White Lotus.
right? I'm like, is she going to sue me for libel? Are we estranged now?
Right.
Like, what is happening? And so I finally called her and I was like, why aren't you responding? I said, let me know what you think. That was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to push her, but I was like, let me know what you think. And then radio silence. So I finally called her and I was like, why aren't you answering? Do you hate me? Do you hate the memoir? And she was like, no, I loved it. I found it incredibly moving and I haven't been able to find the right words. And I'm like, you could have just said, I really
Yeah.
You should have led with that. Yeah.
At least say that. I thought we went in no contact mode.
Yeah.
I was envisioning like worst case scenarios. And she said to me, why do you always jump to such terrible conclusions? And I was like, have we met? Like, do you know?
Yeah.
Does this come as a surprise to you? Yeah.
I mean, I have to say that's a little on her. She teed you up
Right.
with the, I gotta go on a walk.
That's
Right.
like the,
What?
we need to talk. I'll
We need
call
to
you
talk.
in the morning.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wait, what? No.
You can't do that to
Just
me.
call me.
Yeah. But then
No,
she
I
knows.
totally agree.
She's been
That's
like,
awesome.
aggressively hand selling it to all her friends,
Aw.
especially
Mhm.
Emma Gray friends who are of the same vintage, because I think she felt really seen in it. She was really grateful to see our family history in it. My daughter has still not read it because she has this cringy sort of like, I want to read about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think it's too bad because she is my favorite character in telling the story because she's
Mhm.
hilarious. She's like the meme queen. She had all these like funny
Yeah.
liners. She's super fun to travel with. I did send her like pieces to just sort of ask her, does this sound right?
Yeah.
Missing anything? I also pelted both of them with all kinds of questions while I was writing, just to get the details right. And at one point she texted me back and she's like, I need to understand how like these 5 random things that you asked me about are going to fit.
How they're gonna put together.
Read
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she still hasn't read it. She wants to. I think she will when she's
Yeah.
ready. But I really, I think at the end of the day, it's really a love letter to her and my mom and to our
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that trip.
Yes. How beautiful
I
to
love it.
capture your family's story,
Yeah.
past, present, and
Oh my
future. I
gosh.
mean, yeah,
What a
absolutely.
gift.
And I'll tell you, she reminds us so much
Oh
of
my
our
gosh, our
youngest. We
youngest.
see so much
Exactly
of
the
him
same.
with her. So we love her too as the character. But then when talking about her not reading it, our oldest will not listen to the podcast.
No.
He told us, maybe after you die, I'll listen to it.
Thanks.
We said, okay.
guess.
And he's like, well, then it'll be like a conversation I can have with you, like that
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saving. We're like, oh, okay, sure.
Okay,
Like,
cool.
so
Thanks.
I guess children just don't read the
Yeah.
things or watch the
No.
things that their parents create.
Right. It comes down to parents are embarrassing and
Of
Right.
course, yes.
We're
Just
so
nothing
cringe.
but cringe.
I was going to ask though, can I read this opening quote that you have? It's literally on page 1 of the book, by Naomi Newman from Snake Talk. I loved this quote. It says, "Nothing natural or interesting goes in a straight line. As a matter of fact, it's the quickest way to the wrong place. And don't pretend you know where you're going, because if you know where you're going, that means you've been there and you're going to end up exactly where you came from." I loved that. Can you talk a little about why you chose to include that? And then I'll tell you a little about my connection to it and what I loved about it.
I randomly came across that quote on the internet, and it immediately spoke to me for all of those reasons. I chose the quote in part because the book, I think, in many ways is about cycles, sort of going in circles.
Yep.
Repeating, but also about movement forward over time and space. And one of the things that the quote really evoked for me is, as you probably have seen when I was geeking out about my dissertation, one of the authors I wrote about in my dissertation is Nabokov, who famously was a Russian refugee from the Russian Revolution, then lived in Germany and then in Paris, and then eventually immigrated to the U.S. At the beginning of World War II. And his novels have very much to do with foreigners coming to America and sort of about and getting into all kinds of trouble. And so Nabokov was very preoccupied in his own life with repetition and movement forward. And one of the things that he wrote, I can't even remember in which book, is that he thinks of his life as a figure of a spiral rather than a circle. So he said, vicious was his quote, because they just keep going around.
Yeah.
Spirals are a circle, a helix. It's like so you go back to the same point, but from a higher vantage point, and then you're kind of able to see where you came from, but you're not seeking directly to that.
And back to the same.
So kind of the dialogue between that, the repetition and movement forward was what really spoke to me, but also just the danger of wanting to return to something that is not reasonable to.
Yeah. It's not serving you.
Yeah. No, and I love that. I thought that was such a beautiful way to start before you dove into your story and your writing. It connected with me too as a counselor, because so many times when I speak with my students, especially at this age where they're getting ready to graduate high school and enter the world as adults, there's so much comparison to their peers, and they feel so much pressure to have everything figured out. And I tell them, no one does. We're all making it up as we go. And like a curvy path is still a path. And the curves are where the learning happens and the interesting things. You know, straight lines are boring. And I just love that this was so captured in, you know, if you already know where you're going, then that means you've already been there. And this idea of the spiral and, you know, coming back to where you were, but from a different vantage point, I think that was really beautiful. And I just immediately was so sucked in. I was like, oh, I'm going to love this. It just connected with me so personally. But yeah, thank you for letting me read a little bit of that.
Well, do you mind if we transition over to our game now?
I'm excited about the game.
How exciting. So we've talked a little bit about the game, and for those out there listening, we're calling this game The Impossible Detour. So it's very similar to a game we played before, but the idea is you'll come up with a character, whether that's a name or a job or a trade or whatever, and I'll come up with the character as well. And Andrea's going to give us a location, and we'll just kind of slam them all together at that location, figure out how they meet. And then I think it'd be really interesting, since the book is about taking a journey, maybe we can figure out a journey for them to go on, or a reason for them to go on a journey. And then if we really get a wild hair, we can title it, because we have fun titling
always
them.
Fun to try to come up with a title.
It sounds like a lot. It's really not that bad. It's a lot of fun. So if you give me 2 seconds, I think I've got an idea for my character. I just need to write it down.
I got to come up with my location.
You got to think of your location. So I think what I want to do is... Okay. I'd kind of been taking notes from our conversation, so I'm kind of ready.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm ready. If you're ready.
Perfect.
All right. Well, then I will let you go first.
Okay. My character is a 32-year-old Victorian spinster living in a remote cottage in the English countryside.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. Interesting, because I went a little different. I was thinking, what if we had a ham radio operator? And I thought it would just be very appropriate to call him Mike. Because of the microphone. Microphone, mic, ham radio. Yeah. I don't know if he has a quality. Maybe he's always trying to fix things. Maybe he's always trying, or maybe he's trying to make connections.
Well, okay. I'm thinking maybe there might be some time travel element here.
Oh, interesting.
So what I'm going to say then is there's going to be some magical realism here. Yeah. My location was going to be like the ticket booth at like a carnival or a fair. Ooh. But I'm thinking it's going to be the magic Outlander. Is that it's the fair is a time traveling type fair. Okay. So my thought was that whoever they were, however they were connected, is that like one of them cuts the other one off in line, like they're meeting in line at the ticket booth to get the coupons for the fair. But if she's this Victorian spinster and then
what about
spinster,
this?
Yeah.
I've got a quick idea then.
Okay.
What if Mike's there to help fix something at the booth, and he crosses 2 wires and opens a portal?
Okay.
Yeah.
And she comes through.
And this fair has been going on since the Victoria.
Yeah, of course. It's the fairs.
Yeah.
Like Outlander.
Very Outlander.
Mm-hmm. Through the CB radio. Through the ham radio.
Did we get a name for your character?
Oh, let's call her Cassandra.
Ooh, love it.
Yeah.
Cassandra.
Air mystery.
Okay, so Cassandra and Mike.
He accidentally opens his portal.
Portal pops out.
Right?
And I think she comes out
and she's
beautiful. I mean, she's got her beautiful
She's
dress
there having
on.
a good time at the fair. She's
doing her thing.
She's there for herself.
Okay.
I love that.
I don't know. What do you think her reaction would be like, I guess, as she comes through the portal?
I think it would depend. Are we writing a romance? Are we writing a comedy? I mean, I would say I was thinking romance, and she looks at Mike, and he is this man, the likes of whom she has never seen in her
right
English country village, and so there's sparks.
Literally.
Flew when Mike crossed the wires, and now they have to figure out how to make it work because
I like that. And I think with her being this like kind of spinster, I could see her being really independent and really leaning into adventure, this idea of them going on a journey.
Beauty and the Beast.
I could see her wanting to like explore his world, like with this technology and wanting to learn more about it.
I mean, it does feel like the journey is trying to get her home.
How to get her back,
or how to get them both back.
Or if he ends up deciding to go with her.
And also, I like, Andrea, your point that if she's independent, there might be like cute rom-com-y squabbling because right, like he's gonna try to patronize her and she's gonna be like, no.
I don't need that. No, he's trying to just be the gentleman.
Interesting. I like this a lot.
I know.
I like this a lot.
So do they start exploring the fair? Do they stay, or do they just go straight? I mean, that would be hard to be like, let's go ride a ride when you've just traveled through time.
Right, and she's not dressed like everybody.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to square. Maybe she's like, maybe they have some sort of something at the fair that one of the owners of the fair is like, you're in the wrong area. You're dressed like this, but you're supposed to be at this exhibit over here.
The old-timey photos.
Old-timey photos. You're supposed to be working the booth. Come over here. And Mike's like, oh, hold on.
Oh, and then she's like absorbed into this carnival, and everybody just sort of assumes she is not who she is. The question becomes, does she want to go home?
Ooh, that's a good question. It feels like a good first act twist, kind of like figuring out what she wants first.
No, I like that.
Okay. Does she want to go home? She's going to see some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's a Victorian carny at this point.
I could see her being patient, like that is her goal, but that she's going to enjoy this little adventure she's on, that's part of her personality is like, well, I'm here now. I might as well enjoy it while we figure out how to get me back. Because so I think, just the adventures at the carnival, and if she gets pulled into the photo booth or whatever the thing is and he's trying to sort it out, what's so fun? No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if she gets pulled into the photo booth and she doesn't appear in the photos because
she might not,
or she gets really nitpicky about the rules. She's like, you would never wear that like that. Because she actually has experience.
Like, this is not accurate
at all.
Like, I love that.
And they're thinking, then Mike gets called over to fix the cameras because they think something's gone wrong with the cameras because she's not.
I like her sending him away like, I've got this. I can do this. I live this era.
I'm fine.
And then he's like checking in like, hey.
I love it.
Okay. And then I think eventually there needs to be an aspect of getting her home or getting them back. That's probably the journey part.
It's kind of like the machine in Big, the Zoltar, where he goes and makes the wish to go back home.
Okay.
Yeah. They find
they have to find ride the Ferris wheel or something like that.
Right, yeah.
So, okay, here's an idea, because say they decide what they need to do is physically get her back to Bramford upon Stratton, whatever.
There you go.
Called. And they both mistakenly think you just have to travel there. But the problem is, if you travel there over space, you haven't traveled there over time. So when they come back, it's obviously the 2026 version of.
Yes.
I
love that as part of their journey to go there. And then she sees like her old house or something that's like a museum or something.
Oh, I love
she goes and explores her old life. Yeah. And she learns about herself and the mark she made on society. When she
gets to see her, because as a spinster at that time, they probably didn't think like, oh, well, you didn't fulfill your purpose,
right.
But she's going to get to go back and see how she actually did make a huge mark. Oh, I love this. Okay, what are you titling it? This is good.
I don't know. I think I like this kind of like carnival aspect. So I'm wondering if it's like, there's traveling carnivals.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time traveling carnival.
Something like that. Yeah.
Or
it's really funny. Sometimes we have listeners who, when we do this and we try to title it, they're like screaming at their radios or whatever they're watching or listening on, and then they're messaging us, "Why didn't you come up with this? This would have been so much better."
Wait. What is I sort of remember like what you're supposed to say over a CB radio, like what's your 20? Is that the like
what's your 20?
Station?
10-4.
Right, that's the title. What's your 20?
Yes.
What's your 20?
Yes, that's so
What's
fun.
your 1820s or 1620s?
Yeah, because the CB radio and the
yes.
Right.
I like it. Done and done.
It. Perfect. Done. Great story. I love it. Thank you for playing with us.
And now you've got your next book.
Right? It's all written and ready to go.
You can keep that one.
Yeah,
you can have it for free.
Yeah, no, you came up with it. That's fantastic. I love it. I'm ready to read it. I love those magical realism stories.
Well, I'm assuming that's not your typical process in writing books, so we can transition to what's it actually like to write.
What does your writing?
What does the writing process look like? Because we have in the past talked to a lot of romance writers and general writers, but never really a memoir writer. So I'm really interested in the process of how you turn your stories and your memories into plot in a book.
Yeah.
What a good question. I wish I could say something very coherent and inspiring, like, well, I sit down for 3 hours every morning and my very neat write things. Usually it involves a lot of disorganization and anguish over not writing or not writing enough or not knowing what this I think is probably fairly typical of a lot of writing.
Yeah.
What I found with Troika specifically is giving myself a deadline made a huge difference. So I originally started putting the story together in late 23, early 24, and I reached out to my publisher. Both my first and my second book were published by She Writes Press, which is a publisher out of Berkeley, California. And I reached out to the editor and said, or to the publisher and said, I have a second book in the works. Can I get on your dance card? And she said, sure. And said, if you want a 2026 publication date, I'm going to need the manuscript by April of 2025. And it was, maybe February of 2024 at the time. So all of a sudden it was like, okay.
Oh,
we're doing this.
We're on. Yeah.
And so I think that having that endpoint is the only way I write anything. Is there's panic built in at the end. Usually finish things in this mad burst at the last minute, but it's sort of bits and pieces. I think probably a key part of my process is I go on what I call thinking walks or plot walks, where I'll just go to a local coffee place and think about what I might do on the way, or just let my mind go blank and not think about anything. And then when I sit down with my cup of coffee, I usually have at least something to work on. And I try to do that every day or most days, because I think just that movement, again, over space and time, followed by writing, is really productive. And I tend to write in notebooks, of which I have at least 6 or 7 scattered in different parts of the house. And I will just write in random notebooks that are not always connected to previous notebooks. And then when I feel ready, I transfer whatever chaotic thing I've written into and start building.
So you're a handwriter first.
I love writing by hand. I've noticed
Me too.
Handwriting muscles are atrophying, like my hand gets tired more in the pre-computer days. But yeah, I find that really, really helpful. And then I'll also go back to what I've written before and underline and put little asterisks and comment on what I've written in a way that feels more helpful than on my laptop.
Yeah. I feel like I internalize it more if I write it down. Then I have a clearer sense of, some people see the writing by hand as final, but I see it kind of the opposite. To me, that's the work in progress. And I feel like if I'm typing it into a document, I feel like, oh, that's a little more final.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's really formal because it's neat.
Yeah.
You know, you're sort of like already in there. Yeah, I think it's the hand-eye brain connection that is much because you're actually forming words and letters, as opposed to on a keyboard, it feels more disconnected from.
Yeah, you're on autopilot from brain to fingers, just chopping away.
Yeah. I was interested too, was there a temptation to kind of like recraft things or just shape them to be more interesting from a storytelling way? I loved in your author's note at the beginning, you said the most improbable parts are the truest. And I love it. Like, what was that like, trying to write from a real life experience, but then also from the narrative perspective?
So I ended up actually not dressing things up in terms of the factual beats of the trip. Like the things that happened on the trip really did happen. There's a thing that happens at the very end of the book that also really did happen, which I also wrote partly out of mind when I was writing. There's a whole theme in there with rings. I won't say anything more because I don't want to give away the spoil. But I was like, people are not going to believe this because it just seems very contrived almost, but it's like really
this happened.
It's what happened. Yeah.
Just shut up. Sorry to swear.
No.
I think it's also the improbability. I mean, obviously, when you're writing anything, you are transforming lived reality into a story. And it's impossible to, even if somebody were following you around with a camera 24/7, what they focus on would be subjective. So it's impossible not to be subjective, even when writing memoir. And I think that what might come across as contrived, and I hope it doesn't, is that when I picked up on the theme of rings, it was like, oh, this happened and this happened. Like it's a real theme. It's a real thing that runs through actually generations of family history. And it ended up playing out in this way as part of our trip. And so I think that the arrangement of the details might seem like, you know, I tried to put more oomph into it. And maybe that's true, but all the things really did.
Yeah, which makes the great story.
Makes sense,
and keeps it feeling so so real, so that you connect to it as a reader and you're like, yeah, this feels like a road trip. Because a road trip does bring out different personalities when you're in that space for a longer period, the places the conversations go and the questions that come out. And I mean, it's such a unique experience for that. I
was going to ask, just from the writing perspective, what does edits look like in this memoir format for you?
Really great question. So the edits, I tend to write and revise at the same time because and I think this is just a helpful craft perspective and something I always used to tell my students. I always go back to the beginning of what I'm working on because it's a good way to pick up the narrative momentum. If you just look where you ended, you're sort of disconnected from what came before. And I think that reminding yourself of what seeds you planted in earlier chapters or even at the very beginning of the work can be really helpful in figuring out how to pull those threads forward. So the way that revisions worked in this particular book is my developmental editor, who I mentioned earlier, Elise Fenton, who is this multi-talented, actually award-winning poet, editor. She now started writing novels. Her novels are amazing, and I hope they're out in the world soon. She is one of those editors who I think sees to the heartbeat of something often before the writer does. And this book, I sent her part of what still stayed the first chapter, but then almost immediately we were in Solvang bickering over my daughter's inability to find her pants. And and then I also, and I think this is my insecurity as a writer, had originally thought, you know, it would be really cool is if this was like a literary exploration of journeys. And so I wrote a little bit about the train and Anna Karenina and the and Frank Norris's novel The Octopus, and you know, this like Moby Dick I think I had in there too because it was Sea Voyage. And she very kindly was like, oh, okay, slow down because I need to know, like, between your dad giving you the CB radio and suddenly you're in Solvang arguing, like, I need to know more about this trip.
Yeah.
In my head, nobody wants to hear about a 3-day road trip. Like, it's it was so short and it was so whatever. And, you know, don't people want to know my literary opinions about trains and transportation? And frankly, no. Like, I, you know, have that pamphlet background. Just no. And so she really encouraged me to use the trip as the backbone of the story, and then the detours into family history as sort of this is what's accompanying us on the way. So some of the revisions had to do with structure and backfilling, and figuring out how to alternate present day with the past. And she would make these comments in the margins like, okay, it's been 50 pages and we don't know where you are in the road trip. Or, you know, are you still driving? Are you like something? So I give a lot of credit to her for just reminding me the reader actually is invested in what.
And for us, we've never traveled in that part of California. And so I'm really trying to envision, I'm looking up these places when you're describing roadways and where they intersect or what the scenery is like and things. And so I do think it's very beautiful.
It's masterfully done. Any piece of media, the transitions are always the hardest part, you know, moving from one thing to the next. And so the way that you were able to kind of jump back and forth and keep the reader with you along the way, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
so.
it came together so
Definitely
beautifully. Thank you for sharing with
that.
So typically when we end our show, we do what's called the final 5, and you know, our show is geared a little bit towards like romance novels and rom-coms and things like that. So if you're okay with it, I'm going to hit you with the final 5. It's just it's like a lightning round, and some of it we even covered, but I'm curious to know a little bit more about you. So it's just whatever comes first, no wrong answers, whatever comes to your brain. So open door or closed door?
Open door.
Love it. Nice. Sexiest occupation for a main character?
Emergency room physician.
Ooh, good answer. I love medicine. Yeah. Favorite beverage while writing?
Coffee with steamed almond milk. Actually, Americano with.
That's, I was going to say. You guys really are just destined to be besties. You're so similar. I think we talked a little bit about it, but favorite punctuation mark? Still the parentheses?
Parentheses. And also M-dash, which I'm sorry, people have to pry that out of my cold, dead hand.
Yes, absolutely.
And he uses it because it from us.
Yes. We haven't branded our merch yet, but we're starting a club of like the Reclaim the M-Dash Club. So if you would like to join, we would love to have you as a member.
We're going to take it back.
Yes, we were going to put stickers, you know.
We've had many an author say that is their favorite. And I'm like, same. Because especially with me, like I always have that bonus thought to throw on the end of the last thought. So,
Please sign me up for your club.
Awesome.
I'm a profoundly non-musical person. I had a brief idea to start a band called the M-Dashes. And how cool.
Oh.
That's
a good one.
That's so fun.
Like
I love
band
that.
Shirt would be cool.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it could look like
M-Dash. So if you know any musically inclined people, maybe get them on that.
I love it. Yeah.
We'll work on it.
Our son plays the piano. We can ask him about it. Yeah. What one word do you always overuse in first drafts?
God, murderous in this one. I don't know why. I was
families involved. That's why.
It was about ostriches because I was how aggressive they were and really scary up close. And then I did the audiobook in February, and I was like, why did I use the word murderous? And that wasn't like so many times. And it wasn't even a first draft. So I don't know. That's a really good question. But I'm sure
that's a good one. Hey, Murderous, we haven't heard that
I like
before,
Murderous.
so I'm
That's a good
keeping
one.
that one. That's good. Well, thank you. Thank you for playing the final five. Thank you for spending time with us today, Dr. Smith. This was so fun. We're so grateful.
Thank you.
Yes. And for everybody out there, please go find Troika.
It's already out.
It's out right now. Go get it. And we'll share socials and links and stuff at the very end of the show.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you so much for joining us today. Wonderful conversation.
For having me. This was so fun. And What's Your 20 is, at some point coming to a bookstore near you.
It's coming.
Be a collaborative.
Keep your eyes out.
Wow. She's brilliant. She is so smart.
I was intimidated to talk to her. I'm just like...
Literally. We literally had that conversation about, man, I hope I can keep up.
Seriously.
But I do like what she talked about with her ADHD stuff because I face a lot of the same things. And hearing her, how she uses it as a tool, that's the main thing, for us ADHD folks sometimes is finding those workarounds. And so hearing her talk about that and how she uses it as a tool, but also the plot walk, I may have to steal that and just go for a walk and get somewhere and get some notes down.
Yeah. Well, how she talked about just trying to clear your mind and not think about it. I mean, you know about that in incubation and
that's right.
Creative theory,
illumination.
No, I loved it, and also I can't help but connect with the college piece of it, and how all of this kind of originally started with her first book, the Golden Ticket, and how she mentioned that a college essay is like a 650-word memoir, and so getting students to think about what they want to tell and what they want to show. I like that she talks about showing, not telling, and just that element of storytelling, and just how as beings we are geared towards storytelling. And it is such a powerful way to share a message. And so I think as we work on our own novel, I like thinking about that, of like, what stories of our own do we want to weave into our own book? And how can we incorporate like some of those
pieces of us?
Yeah, pieces of us and the advice that she gave, because it shapes who you are and how you think about yourself and, how you brand yourself. And
it makes a book only you can write.
That's true, which is so important. Got to write the book only we can write. But
you know what book we've been writing?
What's that?
For 21 years now.
21 years married, 26 together.
We've been writing the same book for 26 years.
The book of
love. How about that? See?
Love and relationship and marriage. And so I thought it would be so fun to quiz you on our relationship and ask you a bunch of very detailed questions about our history and origin to see what do you remember about our life together.
Yeah.
Are you so excited?
I am, one thing I'm known for is my prolific memory.
Yeah.
And my working memory as an ADHD person. And my...
You better get these right, because I'm going to be upset if you don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
April 23rd.
Hey, that is our anniversary. That's good.
I got that one.
And the questions aren't really about us.
Okay, good.
What I did think, though, is that you sure love to point out how long we've been together. That the year 2000, well, that sounded like... Yeah.
Two different things.
Very different. But how long ago the year 2000 and the year 2005 when we got married, how long ago those were. So I thought, let's do some...
the 99 and the 2000?
From the 99 and the 2000. I thought, let's do some trivia to get us back into that mindset of what was happening when sweet little 16-year-old Matt and Andrea got together, in high school.
Sophomores in high school
theater.
And what was happening.
Yeah, what was happening in the world. Okay. So we're going to start with some like music and pop culture.
Okay, I'm ready. Music and pop culture.
I'm going to give you a couple of multiple choice, and the reason I'm going to do multiple choices, it just sets the tone and the mood, right?
Yeah.
The vibe of what was happening. So what was Billboard's year-end #1 Hot 100 song of the year 2000? Was it Maria Maria by Santana?
Maria Maria.
We're going to get karaoke for everyone. Breathe.
Rob Thomas, is that the one you're talking about?
Was that the one? No, he wasn't in that one, was he?
I think he was. Anyway.
Maybe. That might have been the one he was in, now that I think about it. Was it Breathe by Faith Hill?
How's that one go? Sing it.
I'm not going to sing it.
Give me a piece of it so I can...
Just breathe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Say My Name by Destiny's Child.
Say my name, say my name.
Destiny's Child. They're no longer together.
Whoa. Okay.
They're not dead. I'm just saying, like, they're just not together as a band anymore. And Bent by Matchbox 20. So there's your...
You were the Matchbox 20 fan.
Matchbox 20.
Well, how did that song
I just
go?
thought he was so cute.
Which one was that?
Oh, I don't... You can't make me sing these off the cuff.
So give me the quick rundown again. The name.
Maria, Breathe, Say My Name, or Bent.
Say My Name. That's one I remember being popular.
No, it's Breathe by Faith Hill.
Oh,
that was
man.
the #1 song of the year 2000. The Hot 100 song. Okay. Which movie won Best Picture?
In 2000?
In 2000. Traffic, Aaron Brockovich, Gladiator, or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Oh, man. Those are all around that time. I'm going to say 2000 would be... I want to say Aaron Brockovich was...
You're thinking too hard.
2001.
Pick one.
Gladiator.
Yes, Gladiator. Good job. 2000. 26 years ago.
Okay.
Which of these movies was released in 2000?
Okay.
Legally Blonde, Bring It On, Mean Girls, or The Notebook?
I wouldn't know about The Notebook. I won't know. Shan't know. Shan't know. But I'm going to go with Bring It On.
It was Bring It On. Very good.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was between that and Legally Blonde.
I can't believe, is that the cheer movie?
I said Burr.
Oh, there you go.
It's hot in here.
Cold in here.
Must be some... Sorry, Burr. It's cold in here. There must be some toros in the atmosphere.
Well,
but they stole it because it was Clovers.
Right,
yeah. Anyway.
They stole it. That's how you should have started your cold open today.
Talking about Kay Dunst, right? The one and only?
Gabby Union. Yep. Which reality show? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, now it's just...
Now I'm interested.
Which reality show premiered in the U.S. in 2000 and became a giant cultural hit? The Amazing Race, Survivor, The Bachelor, American Idol.
I know this one because it was such a keystone moment. Survivor.
It was Survivor, and it continues.
Granny loves Survivor. Remember, she made us watch the first one.
Yeah.
What was the pirate guy's name that stole shoes and he was like the coolest guy? Anyway,
I don't remember.
It was like season 1 or 2. He had a beard.
Okay, switching a little to like news and tech. Which file sharing service blew up around the year 2000 and had the music industry shaking in their boots?
My guess would be the big one, which is Napster.
It was Napster,
okay.
Yeah.
I definitely...
Children of today that don't even understand, like...
I had a friend who went on Napster a lot, and BearShare, and LimeWire.
Yeah.
I had a friend that got a lot of music.
Yeah.
Lots of movie quotes, apparently.
Yeah, that was a thing at the time, too. Because, I mean, we couldn't just stream everything, you know?
You had to find it.
All right, some sports trivia at the time.
Okay.
Who won...
Not the Cowboys.
No, it was not. Who won the Super Bowl that year in January of 2000? Was it the Tennessee Titans, the St. Louis Rams, the Denver Broncos, or the New York Giants?
You know, I actually kind of remember this. I think it was the Rams. And the only reason I remember is they had Kurt Warner, and it was like the
Warner? Kurt?
Yeah, what'd I say?
I thought you said Kurt. I don't know.
Kurt Warner, and they had the greatest show on turf. I think they had like the best offense of all time or something crazy. Okay. That's the only reason I remember.
It was.
Is that right?
And they're not even the St. Louis Rams anymore, right? They're the LA Rams.
LA Rams.
Yeah. So they've moved since then. But yeah, that was.
Is that right?
Yeah. Year 2000. Just yesterday.
I was aware.
Just yesterday.
I was aware then.
But I did want to ask you a couple of like romance related questions, not to us.
Like our kind of romance? No. Okay.
No.
Talk about what happened in the 2000s.
That's our next.
Do we need to
after
hours?
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about some of the stuff?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, not at this time. Thank you. I plead the fifth. No. Okay. Which author's historical romance brand from the early 2000s would later become a huge Netflix era obsession? Was that Lisa Kleypas, Susan Elizabeth Phillips, Julia Quinn, or Sandra Brown? And can you name the big show on Netflix now that this author...
I will say I was not tuned into the romance scene in 2000.
You weren't? Oh.
The only name that I kind of remember is Sandra Brown.
That is an author. But no, this was Julia Quinn who wrote the Bridgerton books.
Oh.
So all those that are being adapted now into each season of the show.
She started in 2000?
That was all happening in the early 2000s, yeah. Which of these romance-related titles became a movie in 2000 starring Natalie Portman? Was that another one of your favorites? Message in a Bottle, Practical Magic, Where the Heart Is, or Hope Floats?
Crap.
It was a movie.
I should know this.
It was a romance-related title.
I'm going to say Hope Floats. Literally guess.
Where the Heart Is.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All
there's
right.
your year 2000. I was
Excellent.
going to shift and ask you a couple 2005, just because that was the year we got married. So we're
2005.
fast forwarding a little bit. Yeah.
Let me shift the brain.
Going back to pop culture and music, what was that year's Billboard Hot 100 #1 song?
Nelly. No, go ahead.
So let's see. Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani.
Ooh, that was a big song.
We Belong Together by Mariah Carey.
How does that one go?
I'm not singing these songs.
I remember Ain't No Holla Back Girl. I remember that one. I don't remember that one. Okay.
Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson.
You can sing that one.
Since You've Been Gone.
Okay.
And Gold Digger by Kanye West featuring Jamie Foxx. I wanted to point out, like, our generation cranked out some banger hits. Like,
okay, give me the rundown really
Holla
quick.
Back Girl, We Belong Together, Since You've Been Gone, and Gold Digger.
I'm gonna say Holla Back Girl.
It was We Belong Together by Mariah Carey, the queen.
Oh man, 2005. Okay.
TV show was the biggest primetime ratings giant of
In
the
2005?
2005 season?
Was
it CSI? Was it Desperate Housewives?
Ooh.
Was it American Idol?
Oof.
Or Grey's Anatomy?
Oof. Wow, those are all good ones.
This is the ratings giant. Not that it debuted or whatever, but it was the ratings giant that year.
2005. And give them to me one more time.
CSI, Desperate Housewives, American Idol, Grey's Anatomy.
I'm going to go Desperate Housewives because that was like a big.
It was a big one, but American Idol was topping the charts at the time. It was
that must have just been started.
But which show premiered in 2005? Lost, Grey's Anatomy, Desperate Housewives, or House?
I really dislike Lost, so I'm not going to say that. That's a hot sports opinion for you. What was the last one?
House.
House. How about House?
It was not. It was Grey's Anatomy, which is still on.
Still going 20 years later? See? And she's still on the show, isn't she? What's her face?
No, she left a long time ago. Ellen Pompeo? Yeah, no, she left.
Oh, I thought she was still on it.
It shows how long it's been since Matt's watched it, but
I didn't watch it.
No, you did not. Just a little bit. I stopped watching it a while ago.
You watched like 9 series or 9 seasons.
I'm not going to say when I stopped watching because it's a spoiler, but it's probably been about 10 years since that happened. But
can something be a spoiler if it's 10 years old? Anyway.
I don't know.
Okay.
Which comedy was one of the biggest movie hits of 2005? Step Brothers, Anchorman, Wedding Crashers, Knocked Up.
Okay. 2005. Anchorman, Knocked Up.
It just makes me think about, like, man, we've been together for a minute. These movies and shows were a while ago. Like Survivor premiering.
I'm gonna go with, that's not right. I'll say Anchorman, even though it's not right.
Yeah, no, it was Wedding Crashers.
Yes, dang it.
Yeah, Wedding Crashers.
Dang it.
This one's a little bit of a bummer, but we're gonna rebound with something else.
Okay.
What major natural disaster dominated headlines in late August of 2005?
August of 2005, natural disaster.
It was a hurricane, I'll tell you that. All the answers are hurricanes. Which one?
Was it Katrina?
It was Katrina.
The big one?
2005. That's crazy. It's been over 20 years since that.
Wow.
Okay, rallying back.
Okay, I'm ready. I got that right.
Yeah, you did. Good job. Which Major League Baseball team won the 2005 World Series, ending an 88-year championship drought?
Is it the Cubbies?
Yeah. No, wait, no. It's the Chicago White Sox.
Oh, the White Sox.
You said Cubs. I was thinking Chicago. Yeah, no, the White Sox. Yeah, 88 years they won.
White Sox won in 2005?
Mm-hmm. That's what my research.
You say so. I believe you.
And which classical romance novel got a major film adaptation in 2005? I'm gonna give you a hint. It was starring Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden.
Okay, Keira.
Sense and Sensibility, Emma, Pride and Prejudice, or Persuasion?
Oh, was that Pride and Prejudice?
Pride and Prejudice.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Some romance. Yeah, that was a big one.
Anytime I tell anybody about romance stuff, they're like, "Have you seen that movie?"
That's a good one.
It's a good.
But I will tell you that The Notebook came out in 2004.
Ooh,
so you've had almost 22 years.
Hey, no spoilers.
To see that movie.
No, we're worried about spoilers and no spoilers.
I think that's what I want.
Okay.
Like anniversary gift over the next year. I want you to watch The Notebook. This is.
You know what? For our 60th anniversary, I'll watch it.
I'll be like, what are movies?
It's a talkie.
But what wisdom do you have from our 21 and 26 years of marriage and love?
You know, my wisdom has actually recently been backed up by this professor at Harvard that talks about relationships and creativity and happiness. And he identified the same thing we always talk about in a relationship, which is having a strong friendship.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Which I think is really important because of literally right now, with both boys kind of transitioning off to do something else.
Yeah.
We still have to like each other, and we still have to do stuff together and be attracted to each other. So
keep being friends.
Got to keep being friends.
Friends first. Yeah. I like
What's
that.
your
That's
wisdom?
a good one. I don't know. That was a good one. How am I supposed to follow up that? I don't know. It's all good.
Just find your sexy man. Is that your wisdom? Find the finest man in town.
That's all the advice. That's the whole. That's the whole
Make
thing.
him wear a teapot on his necklace.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. No, I think kind of in the vein of the friendship is like remembering that it's like you guys against the world and not each other. Okay. Sometimes things can feel heavy or hard or like, you know, just with going through the season of change with our kids and stuff like that or whatever it is, it's like it's easy to forget that like we are the central piece of this and it started with us. So
being on the same team.
Yeah, I like being on your team.
Oh, I like you.
Anyway.
Team Stella.
Team
Is that
Stella,
us?
yeah.
We're on Team Stella.
But yeah, so thank you for making it through another year
with
us.
Another year. You made it. We made it.
We all made it. We're gonna keep making
We're gonna keep making it.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
I guess that's it for us today. Thank you for
Thank
listening
you.
out there.
In the meantime, please go pick up Troika. It's out now
Fantastic.
by Irena Smith. Thank you so much to Irena for coming and talking with us today. You can find her on Instagram at irena.smith or on her website, irenasmith.com. She also has some great Substacks that you can go follow, some different essays and things like that. And as always, you can find us on Instagram at Our Next Chapter Podcast. And thank you just for following along with us and celebrating another year of love.
Year of fun.
Love and fun.
Love and fun.
All the things. Until next time. Happy anniversary.
Wait, where can they find us? You didn't say our website.
Did say where they can find us.
Tell us the website, please. So
OurNextChapterPodcast.com. Happy anniversary. Until next time. I love you.
And I love you.
Yeah, now you can do it.
HTT.
Happy anniversary. That's my gift to you.
: // W